Aadhaar and digitisation has played, when it comes to reducing leakage and corruption in India?
Working with Honorable Prime Minister, who was Honorable Chief Minister.
In your career where you felt like completely powerless despite of having all the authorities,
A lot of restrictions,
how does these startups, get benefited from these policies?
risk-taking appetite. They are driven by innovation, and we are seeing a lot of women.
Government buildings converted into startups or co-working spaces.
We are onboarding private sectors like Microsoft, Cisco, L&T to provide
Which sectors will be actually defining India's growth?
QR code, rupee card, all this available with the vendors.
Also, what rights do you think Indian consumers are not aware of? Manufacturing or services, which will dominate India's future? What is that one investment, that India could make when it comes to AI and FinTech that can lead to such revolutionary UPI moment? Welcome to Unscripted with Kena Shah, powered by Shankus Season 2. Well, our today's guest has spent over 3 decades at the now center of India's governance. She is a Harvard graduate, a principal secretary to the government, an IAS officer, and a policy maker who turns vision into laws. She has also represented the nation as minister in Tokyo, Japan. Named by Forbes as India's top self-made woman in 2025. Please help me welcome IAS officer Ms. Mona Khandhar. Hello ma'am, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
Ma'am, today I feel deeply proud to be a woman because I've always believed in women empowerment, uplifting women, contributing to the society for making this world a better place. And you being an IAS officer for almost 30 years now, right? So you are like a proper, perfect example of, purpose and what you have done for the government and for India. So ma'am, how has your journey been like?
So as a child, I always aspired to serve the country. I had that dream. At that time, I thought of serving the country by pursuing medicine. However, I belong to a conservative Jain community, and it's a business community. And my family is family of professionals and business people. So no one thought of my writing civil service. I was inspired and encouraged by my teachers, by my professors and my spiritual guru, considering my persona and all. They thought that I'm a good fit. And Mumbai also didn't have that much flair for civil service.
Right.
So it was a little difficult, challenging, but I worked very hard and very systematically. And I topped among women in 96 batch of civil services. And then it has been such a wonderful journey.
Then you never looked back because you have achieved so much, and I'm so proud, that today's women are actually working for the society towards their goal, towards their dream. So it's a very inspiring journey of yours, ma'am.
Thank you. In my batch, there were 12 women out of 80 officers. So we were quite in a minority. Now I see the batches coming out with almost 50%.
Wow.
Yeah, that is the journey. Together as a women, we have traveled.
Definitely.
At that time, it was challenge to get into, and also getting challenging roles. Both were
very challenging.
Very challenging. Yeah. Now, access is not that much a problem, and it has been opened up for several roles for women. So, if I talk about my professional journey, I had initially I had field postings, wearing field postings as a development officer, district development officer, district collector, where I had a very deep insight into the problems of diverse community, as diverse as a tribal community, tribal women especially, and districts like Baroda and Rajkot, where land disputes are so complex, land matters are so complex. And I was also at Gandhinagar. There I got urban, in all this I got urban exposures as well. and Gandhinagar is a capital city, so that kind of I had insight of development, what kind of development takes place at this kind of growth centers. So picking on that insight, I got a lot of understanding on how a successful program policies should be formulated, and what kind of strategy we should have.
Right.
And one of such strategy for development of tribal women, which I could do in Dang district. It was such a backward district, and women didn't have any status, no social status, no standing in family. They were seen just as one of the laborer that men married for. But when we implemented the dairy development program, it was a woman-led dairy development program. And those women, the kind of commitment that they shown, everything needed to be done in a very time-bound manner to make it successful. And they passed all the exams. Several activities they needed to be trained into. And they needed to take up several activities which they never did earlier. But they did it so beautifully, and they made the entire program successful. And the model was adopted as a model for development of tribal women, especially. Dairy was successful in non-tribal area of South Gujarat and Central Gujarat, but this was for tribal women. So that was one aspect, and from
then your journey began.
Yeah,
right.
And from there to the complex revenue aspects of this kind of upcoming centers like Rajkot and Baroda.
Right. So now talking about the governance, right? So what is that one moment, in your career where you felt like completely powerless despite of having all the authorities on paper?
That kind of moment do keep coming, but now after so many years, we learn, we become more mature, and even I became more mature, and we understand the situation. It's very different in government then, and especially governance in a country, democratic country like India, where we have several elections and other things. So as a professional or as a professional civil servant, I have that perfectionist approach. I want to do my job in a most perfect manner.
Yeah.
So when you want to do it perfectly, there are timing that at certain time you need to do one thing. However, again, it is intertwined with governance. And as I mentioned, in democratic country, there are elections, there are pulls and pressures, there are different such a diverse community we have in India, in Gujarat. So those pulls and pressures are there. So at times, one has to take one's perfectionist approach has to take a backseat. At times, there are like internal politics of officialdom as well. So till now, the most difficult moment for me is not the community outside. I mean, I could interact very well with the political community, with the different diaspora of our diverse community. Even my track record with judiciary is so so good. I have so much faith in the system, and I have never lost a single important case. I have always won the cases. So all this is very good, but to manage internal politics of officialdom, that it becomes difficult at times, and that brought some moments when one feels helpless.
Right. When you talk about perfectionist, right, even I am somebody who likes to do everything, very perfectly. But like you clearly, very rightly mentioned about the maturity, with time you realize that certain things needs to be done, at certain time, no matter how. But that is still something that I am also, struggling. So what is that one advice you would like to give for people like me who always want to do things perfectly, to prioritize?
So from my experience, what I have learned, for your professional success, it's very important that you understand each and every stakeholders connected with whatever you are doing,
right,
and ensure that no one is unreasonably affected adversely. Reasonably, I mean, if you are correcting something, then of course you have to correct a system, and anyone manipulating, you have to take action. But again, you have to see how strong you are and how strong is the person who is manipulating. You have to build your strength. You have to have your collaborators. And because if you try to correct something for which you are not powerful enough, you will definitely not be successful and end up feeling more down or, like that.
Right.
So first, be prepared. And don't ensure that no one who is reasonable gets adversely affected.
Definitely. That's more important.
If you are taking some action, you should have a good reason for that. You should be able to explain convincingly your point of view. I think if you can do this, if you study the situation well and then act upon it, I think there are fair chance of your being successful.
Definitely, yeah. And what is that biggest misconception people have, regarding how government decisions are taken nowadays?
I think generally people feel that government is not sensitive enough, or they have that high-handedness or that kind of approach, and they do it without thinking from all the angles. That is sometimes, people have that kind of grievances. And if there is any new policy or any new act or any program, then as I mentioned, the group which has their settled interest, and if that is disturbed, then they generally rise and speak like this. But generally that is not the kind of case, especially because we have a democracy. Our elected representatives, they are and especially those who are assuming higher offices, they are very sensitive to people's need. They understand people's pulse. So generally they know very well. They are well connected with the field and they know the situation. So generally it doesn't happen that way. However, because the society is so diverse, there is a possibility.
More time than
one group may have to take some
strict action.
Or some beating. And one group might be benefited, because now we talk about equitable distribution and having inclusive development. So the interest group for the government is more of downtrodden. Government does that balancing act. Right. Government has to pull up the people who are not having that much opportunity to study or to good health and good economic opportunities. So government has to support them more. And that might unsettle the system which is already working on the ground, but for a better result in future.
Also, ma'am, what are the steps government is taking towards development of our country?
I definitely think so. And I have been working with Honorable Prime Minister, who was Honorable Chief Minister here. And then when I was posted as a Minister Economic and Commerce in Japan, at that time also I have seen his vision for foreign policies. So he definitely has a very strong commitment and a very inspiring vision for development. So what we call Viksit Bharat.
Viksit Bharat, yes.
And for that kind of initiatives or policy framework that has been put in place by Government of India under leadership of Mr. Modi is amazing. In a nutshell, or as a bottom line, our development earlier was more focused only on service sector. It was mainly IT oriented growth model or development model. However, now after putting post-COVID, they put a wonderful policy framework in place where a lot of impetus is given on high-end manufacturing. So electronics, semiconductor, which are very, very strategic, and different types of electronics like hardware, then consumer electronics, auto electronics, all this, and also for pharmaceuticals, medical equipments, where India needs to come up. And where after agriculture, where employment can be generated. So now we are transitioning as a product nation from a service
to
nation to
product.
product nation.
Right.
So this is a very important step
Shift,
towards
yeah.
towards all-round economic development.
Do you also see mindset shift within bureaucracy towards, innovation, speed and risk taking?
Yes, very much. Again, here the bottom line is we are moving from being regulatory towards more growth and development orientation. Earlier, if you see, we used to have a lot of restrictions. It was like post 1991 liberalization. We are seeing a lot of
Changes,
shift
yeah.
in governance. So earlier, there used to be a lot of restrictions. If anyone wants to do anything, the person will require several permits and all. It used to be called permit raj and all. Okay, that we have left behind. However, still, its legacy persisted in the sense that the bureaucracy or the governance was more on correcting the mistakes or punishing or having punitive actions on fallacies and all that. However, slowly now it is moving towards positive outcome, deliverance and things like that. And for that, innovative approach and other things are being encouraged. However, this is still, I feel that the transition is still at a slower pace and we need to go a little faster on this.
Right.
And if one thing that is required to change the momentum, I will say that this is the one change.
So I really wanted to know how India balances speed versus stability, while talking about framing policies, because it's a fast growing economy now.
So actually, India is still learning this game. India is a new entrant in this game, I would say, because when we talk about speed, it is the futuristic technology. It changes so fast. It is disruptive. So we have, on one side we have startups, then we have futuristic technologies like artificial intelligence, semiconductor, quantum computing, and its adoption, its fast adoption. So that is something which we need to do with speed. And then there is a stability. Stability is the disruption in technology should have minimum disruption on society or on our economic development model. So how to combine the two is really the challenge to policymakers. It is kind of a change management that we have to ensure, and change management of human being in our development strategy is very important.
Right.
So on the one hand, we have to ensure that we keep our pace with the changing phases of the technology, and we keep grooming our startup, the deep tech startups. These are very important. And on the other hand, we have to ensure that the change management that it is likely to bring to the community at large, the economic actors at large, that is taken care of. So we have to facilitate the adoption of this technology.
Right.
Government has to constantly give a framework for easier and faster adoption. Like we have AI mission at India level. At state level, we are the first state to set up Center of Excellence for Artificial Intelligence.
Right.
And we have rolled out skilling. So we have to ensure that people who are working, who are already in labor force, they do not get destabilized, but they are more empowered with technology. They have the access to technology. They don't have that frightening approach or discomfort with the technology. So this is how government tries to combine the two.
Right.
And this is what we also try to support. Like our AI Center of Excellence not only supports other government departments, but also supports MSMEs,
Right.
medium, small and micro enterprises.
Now, if we look at India's bigger picture, right? So in the next 10 years, help me understand that which sectors, will be actually defining India's growth. Is it manufacturing, tech, or maybe semiconductors or food security, and why?
Sure. So this decade is called Teched for India. Yeah. So TechEd, it's very important to define or provide a strong foundation for India's development. And that is the reason why the post-COVID framework focused a lot on semiconductors and high-end electronics manufacturing part. And also there is a lot of focus on service, high-end services, which are required for high-end manufacturing. So high-end services, they provide like things like Global Capability Center or Design Center, where India is doing very well. Along with that, so that design part is already developing very well in southern states now, in Gujarat, Maharashtra, this kind of states as well. Along with that, we need to have high-end manufacturing also, to have that value creation and to have that shift of labor force from agriculture and primary sector to secondary and tertiary sector.
Right. So what services here are we talking about? So if you can just give an example, would be great.
So services is like ICT services or IT enabled services is one important segment. Then we have Global Capability Center. Okay. So Global Capability Centers, they cater to the multinational where especially from research and development perspective, for development of new products, development of new services, and have that high-end human resources who cater to the needs of all the outlets of a multinationals.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the biggest bottleneck in policies that is hampering India's growth?
I would not say bottleneck, but we need to expedite the process of educating and skilling our workforce. That is very important, and building enabling infrastructure. Now, both this, they take time, because to educate, I mean, it's the entire generation, that we need to educate and skill.
Definitely.
Which is very important. And those skills also for sectors which are disruptive, the skill sets keep changing. We need to upgrade those skill sets and skill and keep reskilling.
Right. So how far have we come?
So government has put in place a very good infrastructure. We have a national skill development mission, and even at state level also we have a very vibrant skill development. However, we have this a huge network of ITIs.
Okay.
So they need to be transformed, they need to be modernized to suit the requirement or upcoming requirement of our development needs, and skill the people accordingly. Then our polytechnics, they also need to be transformed. Our engineering colleges, they have to keep changing or keep modifying their syllabi, their workshops, their laboratories, all these things.
And government is actively pushing towards that.
Yes, very much.
Okay. And if you could rewrite one policy, to fast track India's growth today, so what would it be?
So I will put a lot of focus on this human resource development, because that is a very important part of the strategy towards development. Once we have a developed human resource or human resource base, they figure out a lot of things, how to do things. So, I mean, it becomes very easy to be economically empowered and also socially empowered with an educated and skilled workforce.
Right.
And second thing, if we enable them further with the required infrastructure, digital infrastructure, physical infrastructure, and logistics.
Yeah, that would be a great help,
Yes.
And also in terms of innovation, once you have all the material that is needed, the support, the material, I think that's a very right point to put it forward, that will help India to grow at a very different space.
Yes.
Right.
And third thing is if we can further keep reforming our taxation framework, the custom duties and our indirect taxes like GST and direct taxes. The more simplified they are, the better it is. It will
Definitely.
enable, So these three things I would, though you ask for one, I would say these three things are
No
important.
problem. No problem. Yeah. Also, ma'am, which country's governance model inspires you, and what should you want India to adapt from it?
So it's difficult to point out one single country, but I have like 3 to 4 countries in mind. One is the set of Scandinavian countries for the kind of freedom they provide to their citizens and kind of public infrastructure they have built and law and order. And also like Japan. Japan also qualifies in this. So far as law and order is concerned, it is one of the best countries in the world. Its passport is recognized in the highest number of countries, about more than 190 countries.
Right.
However, it has its own shortfalls also, and they are very much planning and precision oriented. Again, it has its own pros and cons, but we can certainly adopt some of this excellent professional culture.
Absolutely.
So that is one country, and building social infrastructure, social security. These are again, this we see in Scandinavian and some of the developed European countries. And a couple of European countries, their socialistic models, they are very good, like countries like Poland or Bulgaria, even East Germany.
Socialistic meaning?
Socialistic means a kind of, inclusive growth and development that they ensured. So these are like 2-3 areas that I would like to pick, and I would like to imbibe in India's policy framework and fabric of governance structure.
So now if we talk about entrepreneurship and startup policies, so first help me understand that, are there different policies for both of them?
Yes, there are different policies, but some of the portions of both the policies overlap as well, helping both.
Right. So can you just give a brief about entrepreneurship policy and startup policy?
So if I talk about entrepreneurship, then MSMEs, they form a very important basis of our overall industrial landscape or manufacturing landscape or economic landscape. In Gujarat itself, we have about 1.5 million, that is 15 lakh MSMEs, medium, micro and small enterprises. Now, these are very important so far as employment generation is concerned. They generate a lot of employment.
Yes.
And they need to be competitive as well. So government provides a lot of support to them. Post-COVID, government came out with an elaborate framework for MSMEs. Their definitions have been changed for better. So now more enterprises, they qualify as medium, small and micro enterprises. And the disadvantages that they would have, like if they become bigger, then they may lose the advantage of being a medium enterprise. That has been taken care of. That is number one. Now, number two is, it's very important that they are technologically advanced. So they have been given specific support for technological upgradation. This MSMEs also feel at times, to manage financial liquidity and other part of their business. So government has ensured that they are paid well in time. They don't have delayed payment, so that their payment cycle is not affected, and they are supported financially. A specific credit guarantee fund has been created to support MSMEs so that they get loans and all without much difficulty. They have also been provided marketing support. Government SIDBI has specifically come out with schemes like Shishu, Kishore and things like that to nurture enterprises. Okay. And Gujarat has a wide entrepreneurs base, and we have institutions like EDI, Enterprise Development Institute. So there is a very good framework. There are dedicated framework for grooming and nurturing women entrepreneurs.
Right. That's very wonderful, that's beautiful. How does these startups, get benefited from these policies?
Startups are a very important ecosystem for the growth and development of India. We have world's third largest startup ecosystem. And one very encouraging part is that they started on their own without any government support to begin with. And then government realized that it has huge potential. So now government has come out with policies which takes care of every important aspect of startups journey. Startups need a lot of support to begin with, because no, they struggle till they demonstrate a very successful proof of concept. So that early stage funding comes from the government, and their incubation part, where they are groomed. Startup come with a very few kind of persons, very inspired and innovation driven people, men the startup. So providing them incubation, providing them mentors, all these are interwoven in government policies. And early stage of funding. Later on, once they demonstrate a successful proof of concept, they start getting private funding. So this is how government balances the requirement, and also supports no initial requirement of bootstrap camps and things like that, and to have a kind of bridging with or market related information, so that they develop their product very efficiently to cater to the market. And once they do that, government also helps them explore other market. We have like startup bridges with several countries, so our startups can roll out their products in several countries.
If India were a company, so where do you think India is overspending and underinvesting?
This is a very interesting question, in the sense that we cannot take India solely as a private sector company. We have to take it as a public sector company dedicated to public welfare. So its goals will differ to that extent from a private company, because as a public sector company, it will have its objective of equitable growth and development. However, still there is a good scope of controlling our spending and investing in future development. So if we have to pick up, however, I would say that our present government, central government, state government, they are doing a wonderful job of balancing. They have done a fairly good balancing act. However, we can still invest a little more in human resources, in their education, in their skilling, on their overall health, because that will have a lot of economic benefit. It will provide us with the better ready workforce. So education, skilling, and a good public and preventive health will be system. Yes, I think there we still have a scope to invest and spend more. And so far as our spending is concerned,
I'm very curious to know this.
I won't say that particular spending should not be there, but I would definitely like to say that we need to make our spending more effective in the sense that we need to implement our projects within timeline, so that we don't have time and cost overrun. This kind of efficiencies need to be there. Our social benefits, they need to be well targeted, which government is doing very much by using technology. However, still, I mean, there is scope of improvement.
Right. And if you have to say one sector where we are overspending, what do you think?
So I would say, in agriculture, especially agriculture inputs, when it comes to fertilizers, like we are over subsidizing urea, which is at times counterproductive in the sense that overuse of subsidized urea is diverted into other things. Then we have synthetic milk out of urea. It at times spoils the soil. So we could have spent lesser. However, that again involves a lot of change management, which is there in government's consideration. However, they need to work out properly.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you also, when we are talking about entrepreneurship and startups, so do you see any change compared to 10 to 15 years back, like how young entrepreneurs are now thinking and taking things forward?
Yes, definitely. A lot of change we see. First of all, they have a lot of risk-taking appetite. They are driven by innovation, and we are seeing a lot of women and startup
Led
leaders. Yeah, almost equal, almost in equal number, which is very heartening. So women are just coming forward in seizing the opportunity. If we look at past enterprises which are functioning or family-owned businesses, there we don't see that many women-led companies and enterprises. However, in startup, almost 50% led by women. So that is one very important change. Second thing, so many of them are coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So it shows that how hungry they are for development. There is a lot of fire in their belly. And if they don't get opportunity from the conventional setup and means, they want to go and grab through startup.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned earlier that there are lots of MSMEs and people now, you mentioned that now everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, starting their own businesses. So do you think that should, government buildings, what time they care, that they are just obsolete, they are there, right? So should not that be converted into startups or co-working spaces for people to work?
Yes, that's an excellent idea. Government has a policy to build co-working spaces and IT parks and things like that. It's very important. So initially the startups, if they are provided a co-working space at concessional rates or reasonable rates, it will definitely support them a lot. And all the government-backed incubators, they do provide this kind of services. They provide space, co-working space to startups at a very reasonable price and concessional prices. So of course this can be one of the
things to implement for future.
Yes.
Yeah. We were discussing about co-working spaces. So don't you think that government should push more, for the co-working space? Because I see that government jitna, promotion is not the right word, but jitna push karna chahiye co-working spaces ko abhi bhi itna push nahi ho raha hai. So somewhere down the line, I feel that it is something that is taken care by the private players.
So private players should always be there because they are definitely more efficient. Wherever there are market forces and wherever there are several parties for supplying the required service, there government should do just a balancing act if it is coming from private sector, because it's important that outside government also an ecosystem develops and government facilitates, rather than government taking over or providing a majority part of it. Right. Because government may not be that very efficient in changing or modifying as per the market requirement.
Right. Has UPI quietly become India's biggest revolution, post-COVID?
Very much. UPI has done a wonderful thing to take into its fold these small vendors, going down up to small vendors. So they have reached out to so many, such a big and unorganized sector, and provided them or equipped them with digital financial payment modes. So of course, it has empowered. And it was when Mr. Modi went as a Prime Minister from Gujarat, then it was his Jam Trinity concept. So that Jandan account, then mobile, connecting it with mobile and Aadhaar. So that has financially empowered the community, the Indian community, and especially from lower economic strata of the society. Okay. It has revolutionized completely the payment mechanism. Earlier, that cash economy, every transaction was mainly through cash. But now, you see a QR code, rupee card, all this available with the vendors, even the smallest vendor. So that has made a sea change to the payment mechanism that was there in India, and we have also catered to other countries as well with this system. So it's one of the
Revolutionary
brightest
changes. Yeah.
spots of our development journey.
Also, what role has Aadhaar and digitization has played, when it comes to reducing leakage and corruption in India?
Oh, tremendous. It has played a tremendous role in increasing the efficiency by well targeting the government benefits and plugging the leakages. One very important or visible example is what we are seeing, the food distribution or public distribution system. We all are aware about ration cards. So with by linking ration card with Aadhaar number and the mobile number, which is also again linked to Aadhaar. So by linking ration card with Aadhaar number and Aadhaar linked mobile number, several cards which were not linked to any family, it was just like shell companies, these were shell ration cards, that can be removed from the system and saving government subsidies in crores of rupees.
Wow.
Even if we see the tax administration today for income tax or anything, the system has become so seamless and transparent. It is so easy to file your income tax return, and all income from all sources you can gather at a click. The moment you enter your personal credentials, you'll get income that you have earned from all the possible sources, and it's so simple for you also to file the return and also to administer. So it has resulted into huge efficiencies,
Right.
Reduce the cost of administration.
Nice.
So there are several such examples,
Definitely.
and especially where government pays subsidies to support. Government pays several subsidies to farmers, to exporters, to industries. Everywhere, because of Aadhaar linkages, all the gaps and mostly we have done away with. Almost we can say 99% has been done away with.
So now when we are talking about AI and FinTech, so then what is that one investment, that India could make when it comes to AI and FinTech that can lead to such revolutionary UPI moment for India?
So artificial intelligence is like a foundation, a common foundation. It is not for any specific sector. However, the kind of technological advancement that we have seen in our financial sector, it has made very ripe. It has made our financial sector very ripe for AI adoption and implementation. We are seeing continuous reforms in like SEBI is bringing so many reforms. We have Gift City in Gujarat. We are seeing a lot of reforms and liberalization in insurance. All this can be vastly benefited by AI adoption. We can also think about a large language model, financial large language model specific for India, or to customize or suit the requirement of India. So I think this kind of investment
Will make that
yes.
an UPI moment.
Yes.
Do you see India leading AI globally?
Very much. We are already leading globally so far as AI ready workforce is concerned. We have one of the highest AI ready workforce. In addition to that, we can still do better if we ensure the required AI digital infrastructure is in place, which is like GPU enabled cloud and data centers. That is number one. And number two is development of use cases and rolling out. So adopting AI in our day-to-day working, not only of government and private sector. So which is happening very fast. So I think with a combination of these three, we can lead globally in all the verticals of AI.
Also, you have, in Gift City, if we talk about, you have already set up an AI task force with a 5-year action plan, if I'm not wrong. So can you brief a little bit on that?
So we have set up, Gujarat is the first state to set up Artificial Intelligence Center of Excellence at Gift City. There we are doing a number of things in sync with India's AI mission. So number one is we are developing use cases for not only government departments but also for MSMEs, and that we are doing through Innovation Challenge every month. Already we have developed about 25, we are in the process of developing about 25 use cases.
Wow.
And we are also rolling out training for government employees, for MSMEs and other stakeholders, institutions, all these things. Also in a process of setting up AI-based cloud data center in our state data center. We are onboarding private sectors like Microsoft, Cisco, L&T to provide their cloud-based services and tools and design tools and platforms.
When we talk about semiconductors, Gujarat is emerging as India's chip hub. I mean, this is an historic moment for us because India transitioning from, packaging to now make in India chips. So what do you have to say on that?
Yes, semiconductor is very important sector. It caters to almost all the modern sectors like electric vehicles, then space sector. Everywhere semiconductor plays a very vital role. It has very, very important forward and backward linkages. Countries like Taiwan have just prospered on this. So it is our moment. However, we need to do a lot into it. We have just starting one fab at Dholera, and we will require a number of them.
One is at Sanand also, if I'm not mistaken.
At Sanand, there are packaging units, so which are also very important. However, when we go deeper, then the fab or manufacturing of chips, they bring the real efficiency. So we need the entire ecosystem. Along with packaging, we also need a fab manufacturing semiconductor chips.
Right.
Wafers and chips. Yeah.
Wafers and chips. Okay.
Yes.
So can Dholera Fab make India a big exporter for chips?
It certainly has a huge potential. It has all the required infrastructure. Government of India and Government of Gujarat, they have put a lot of resources into making it an enabling kind of spatial investment region, or I should say Silicon City. It requires very specific kind of infrastructure, which is not required in other sectors, very high end. It requires 100% redundancy in water, power, and gas. So all these have been provided, ensured at Dholera. It also requires a tertiary kind of effluent treatment, which is also set up in Dholera. And Tata, along with PSMC of Taiwan, they are setting up the first fab plant of India at Dholera. And we want to see a number of them more. And there are verticals like for memory, logic, display. We need all these kinds of fabs in India.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's certainly a very interesting and very important beginning.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward. I'm sure a lot of people who are going to listen to this podcast, they would be very excited, for this project. As a policy maker, how do you decide on which technology to support and which technologies to regulate?
So first of all, we have to look at our own industrial development, and we have to see the strategic importance as well. So wherever any industry or any sector is strategically important in the sense, just like semiconductor, where it is serving so many other sectors, which is very, very vital for so many other sectors like defense, space, high-end electronics, EV, all these are very important and strategic sectors. So those sectors we need to have in our country. So one consideration is that. Second, we have to see our own level of industrialization, and for technological advancement, what next level we need to go. Suppose we had electronics policy. Earlier, government of India came out with electronics policy. It was for electronics, mainly packaging, mobile packaging. We are seeing a lot of exports of mobile from India. Now we need to go deeper. So now component policies have come. So now we want to manufacture components also here rather than importing components and packaging them. If we manufacture components also here, we will have more value addition. Our income generation will be higher. So these are the kind of considerations when we work on policy formulation.
Amazing. If we talk about food and civil services, right, that is your current department. So food security is considered to be national security. So what are the challenges that worries you the most today?
So food security became very important during COVID period, when we had like several lockdowns and the economic activities were disrupted. So it became very important that every family have access to the required food grain. Civil supplies or the public distribution system is a very important one and very robust one in India. We have a countrywide system of public distribution system, and then we have NFSA, National Food Security Act, under which the earmarked or shortlisted beneficiaries, they are assured of 35 kg of food grains. So government has taken very important step in this regard so far as food security is concerned.
Also, how does the government decide when to intervene in the market and when not to intervene?
So this is again very important question, and government has created a seamless system to ensure that farmers and beneficiaries, consumers, they both are taken care of so far as food security is concerned. Now, ensuring a proper price, remunerative price for farmers is important, and that's why government announced MSP or procurement price for the agricultural commodities, and government procure at that price so that farmers get remunerative price. And this procured grain is distributed to beneficiaries through public distribution system. So this is a very circular kind of system and very seamless system that government has developed by procuring from farmers and providing them remunerative rates and giving this procured grain to beneficiaries either free or at a very subsidized price.
Right. So how does the government come to know, at the early stage, if there are any food crisis chances there in the country?
So government regularly monitors how the agricultural activities are taking place. Now we are using satellite images as well. So right from how much crop loans they have taken, farmers have taken, how much sowing has been done in Rabi season, in Kharif season, and how it is progressing, whether there was any disruptive natural calamity like heavy rain or less rain, and they estimate the output, and accordingly whether in market it will have a reasonable price or lower or higher price. If it is going to be sold at a higher price, then government doesn't need to procure. But if it is if there is like bumper production, and if there is a possibility of farmers being compelled to sell at a lower price, then government procures.
Okay.
So these are the kind of situations through which government decide when to intervene and how to intervene.
Okay. Also, how much has the public distribution system improved in the last decade, and where are we still failing?
So public distribution system has improved tremendously in certain commodities. It takes care of a number of commodities. In commodities like cement, like petrol and diesel, it has improved tremendously. You must be aware that earlier we used to have like shortages of cement, and there used to be raids and all. Now no longer that is required, and in fact now cement is almost out of PDS system now.
Wow.
Government doesn't need to regulate it much, though government keeps monitoring, but doesn't need to regulate much. Similarly, earlier there used to be like petroleum products like petrol and diesel used to be very sensitive. Marketing of these products and setting up petrol pumps, all this used to be like very sensitive. But that has also been very much streamlined. Now there is no possibility, or very, very less possibility of adulteration of petroleum products like petrol and diesel, and it is almost its regulation have been minimized now. So there is a tremendous change so far as these two commodities are concerned. Now, when we come to food grains, again a lot of steps have been taken through digital platform. The entire public distribution supply chain is on a digital platform, end-to-end digital platform, right from procurement till final distribution to beneficiary. Now every beneficiary, the distribution to every beneficiary is authenticated by the biometric of the beneficiary. There is 100% eKYC. Only those beneficiaries who have done their eKYC, they become entitled to public distribution. And even fair price shop owner, go down manager, all this entire supply chain, their entire operations have been digitalized and on digital platform. And the transportation is through GPS enabled. So there is a lot of transparency. However, there are, still scope for improvement, and we are constantly working on making it more efficient as to what is the right time of procurement, how efficiently we can procure at a reasonable price and with a reasonable quality. All these issues are there, which we are working on.
Great. Also, what rights do you think Indian consumers are not aware of?
Indian consumer is becoming more and more aware. However, they should know certain basic information or disclosures that seller must ensure and empower consumer with. The information, the minimum information that the consumer should have, especially when the commodity is packaged. So the consumer must know, or has a right to know, who is the producer, what are the ingredients in the product, what is the weight, what is the maximum retail price, MRP, that we call. So these are some of the things that consumers should be well aware of, and all this must be displayed whenever they want to buy.
Right. Also, what penalties do companies fear under the consumer laws?
Penalties, the most important thing is that their scales or the lots, so weights and measures that they use for packing their products, they need to be stamped. So their scales should be up to the mark. Their scale should not be so adjusted that it will show a higher content, but actually there is not as much as it is showing. So there the penalty is most severe.
And lastly, I just want to ask that what is that toughest decision that you have made in this department?
This is a very important question. Government, as I mentioned, making it more and more transparent and improve the distribution system. So Government of India has done a pilot of direct benefit transfer. So under that, what they do is they transfer money equivalent to the food grains value. And that they have done in cities like Chandigarh. And they also suggested us that you do in Gujarat. However, in Gujarat, nutrition is very important because we have a huge tribal belt. So So if we transfer through DBT, we had the question whether it will be rightly targeted. They can use money for different purpose other than nutrition. So we were reluctant, and Government of India told us to develop our own model. So we worked with Government of India, Reserve Bank of India, and Punjab National Bank to have a central bank digital currency based digital food coupon. So which can be utilized only for procurement of food grains. Beneficiary cannot use it for any other purpose.
Wow.
And that change management had been challenging. We had to convince the fair price shop owners to adopt this system. There was some resistance. They were feeling that probably they might be over a period of time eliminated from the system, but then we had to assure them there is nothing like that. We are just trying to make the system more speedy, more efficient, more transparent.
Transparent.
And we got a huge response from beneficiaries though. Wow. However, it was all this change management and digital further one level up. Digital transformation has been the most challenging so far.
So now we have a rapid fire round. This is one of my favorite segments. So the first question for you is speed or stability? What does India need more right now?
I think speed, because stability we already have.
Wonderful. Manufacturing or services, which will dominate India's future?
Manufacturing based services, I would say.
Okay. Semiconductors are opportunities or necessity for India?
It's a necessity.
It's a necessity. Okay. Technology moves faster than policy. So is that a problem for India or an opportunity for India?
I would say opportunity.
Right. Transparency reduces corruption, always or sometimes?
Always.
And also one last message that you would like to give to the viewers, who want to contribute to nation's growth. What would it be?
I would like to mention that considering the diverse community that we have, we need to come together. We need to build a lot of trust and faith for each other. We need to come together as a team, whether it's government and private sector or community of this state or that state, whether it is like laborers and employers, we all need to come together, whether it's a large scale enterprises or MSMEs, we all need to come together, build partnerships, work together as a team, and work together to make each other more capable, build each other's capabilities more, and build trust in each other more.
Yeah, it's like united and together we grow.
Yes.
Also, ma'am, thank you so very much. I had a great time. It was a very insightful conversation that we had today. And thank you for being so raw and open about the policies and about all the things that we discussed.
Pleasure is all mine too. It was a wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.